Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Off-Farm Income Podcast. Thank you very much for joining us for episode number 767. Well, today we're going to take you out to Iowa. We're going to be speaking with a national proficiency finalist from 2019's National FFA Convention. Mr. Spencer Paysen is coming on to talk to us about the class that he developed while he was a sophomore in high school to teach ag mechanics to other FFA students, and how that has led to blue ribbons at the Iowa State Fair, some really creative projects, and him being on that national stage as a national proficiency finalist. We're going to get that started for you right now. Joining me now is Spencer Paysen, and he's coming to us from Central DeWitt High School in DeWitt, Iowa, where he serves as his chapter's president. He's a senior, so he's getting ready to graduate soon. And he was a 2019 National Proficiency Finalist in Ag Mechanics. Spencer, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, you bet. I am excited to speak with you, and I want to start off by saying congratulations on being a National Proficiency Finalist. That is a heck of an accomplishment.
Yes, it is. I was quite shocked when I got the news in August, and honestly, I'm still trying to cope with the realization that I was a national finalist.
That is very cool. How was it getting up on that stage in front of all those people?
It was just something amazing. When I was a freshman in high school, I remember seeing all those FFA members being up there, and I told my ag advisor, hey, I want to do that, and senior year, I got it.
Very cool. Well, we'll kind of circle back around to that in a minute. I'd like to ask you just a few questions about you so our audience can get to know who they're listening to. Would that be all right?
Sure.
All right. Well, how old are you now?
I am 18.
Okay. And when you are not at school, when you're at home, are you on a farm, are you in town, or are you like kind of in the middle of those two things?
My family runs 200-acre corn, soybean, and market cattle operation.
Okay.
When I'm not working with them, I work for a 16,000-acre farm that's local around town called Greenview Farms.
Okay. Wow. So, Go on. Go on. Sorry about that.
And when I'm not working on the farm or working for them, I'm usually just tinkering around with mechanics.
Yeah. It's very humble of you to say you're just tinkering around with mechanics when it's taken you this far, but we'll come back to that. So you're doing a lot of farming. You got your family's place, and then this other entity that you're working for, they're farming a lot of acres.
Yes. I started with them in 2018 as a wash boy and slowly worked my way up to equipment operator and just basic operations of doing field work, tillage, and running a grain cart. And this year I actually got to drive the combine a little bit, so I was pretty happy by that.
Very cool. You know, it's funny. I live out here in Idaho, and I deal almost exclusively with livestock, except for growing a little bit of hay. But as I read things and I get to know people in agriculture, I always hear about this graduation of responsibility working on a farm. And then I see these things on social media where people talk about, like, there's no shame in driving the grain cart and this and that. So I don't know what it's like, but you're reiterating it, that you were driving the grain cart, but now you get to get in the combine out of the grain cart. So what is that? Why is it such a cool thing to, I guess, promote, if you will, from the grain cart to the combine?
Well, as a grain cart boy, if you will, you don't get the responsibility of like getting to take the crops out of the field, and that is just a feeling I cannot describe. Getting the chance to get in the seat of one of the largest pieces of equipment that's in Iowa and take out a crop that's taken so long to produce. It's just a feeling that's just amazing.
Okay, so that was the reward for you, getting in that combine and doing the actual harvesting.
Yes.
Very cool. Well, good for you. I'm glad that you reached that level. And it only took you 2 years to get there, so they must have seen something in you.
I guess so.
That's great. Well, how long have you been part of the FFA?
I started my freshman year of high school.
Okay. And why did you join? What brought you into the group?
Well, a lot of my family have actually been in FFA, and so they kind of motivated me to become an FFA member.
Okay. How'd they do that? How did they motivate you? Was it like, if you want dinner tonight, you're going to join the FFA, or was it more subtle?
Well, I was a 4-H member, and I always heard rumors how good FFA was and all the fun activities we get to do, and I always thought, well, you know what, I'd like to give that a try. So, and with also my dad saying that he was an FFA and what he got to do, so I decided that, yeah, I was going to be part of my FFA chapter.
Very good. And then somewhere along the line, you decided to become a chapter officer, and here you are now as your chapter's president. How did you make that decision?
Well, before that, I was the chapter vice president my junior year, and I decided to run as our chapter president. Seeing that I was the vice president, I decided to step up to the plate and see if I could handle the duties of a president.
What brought you to the decision, I guess, to join the officer team in the first place?
Well, I had a senior friend my freshman year who was the vice president, and he kind of motivated me to become an officer, and he actually helped increase my leadership skills, and I really wanted to help my chapter, so I decided to become an officer just so I could do my part for the chapter.
All right, I'm sensing a consistent theme here with you, Spencer. Lots of people, they motivate you. You get motivated by what people have done in the past, and you run with it.
Correct.
Very cool. All right. Well, so on your family farm, do your folks, do they farm exclusively, or are they working off of the farm as well?
Since we are a small operation farm, my dad actually does night trucking, so that is his part-time job when he's not farming.
Night trucking. Okay, now help me understand the distinction. Why do you refer to it as night trucking? Obviously, you must be doing it at night, so why is that taking place then?
Well, he decided to do it at night because that way during the day, like during the spring season, fall, anything like that, he could be out in the field working. And I know that he doesn't get a lot of sleep, especially during those times of years.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, so how can a person decide that they're going to drive truck and do it just at night? Like, what is he hauling?
He hauls a lot of factory parts like bearings, things like that. I guess he does he doesn't really haul for like the ag side. He just mostly just factory parts, and he's been trucking all his life along with farming. So this has always kind of come normal to him. So he's drove truck a lot during the night more than day, actually. So
the option was there for him to choose like a night shift, and he took that because then he can farm during the day. Yes. Well, that's tough. That's tough to stay up all night and then just to turn around and just keep on going. I've worked plenty of night shifts, and about the time that sun's coming up, all I want to do is go to sleep. Right, yeah. He comes home a lot of times pretty tired, but he's a big role model to me because just seeing him work, I've seen a lot of 24-hour days he's done. So yeah, I believe you. Well, good. Well, so who are your FFA advisors or advisor? We'd love to acknowledge those folks.
My FFA advisor is Amy Grantz, and we have an FFA coach. Her name is Jenna Stevens.
Okay. Now, that's the first time I've heard that. So an FFA coach, what does an FFA coach do?
She helps a lot with our FFA competition. She helps with the POA. Just any paperwork, or she helps with the FFA officers, but her main role is she helps with a lot of the competitions like livestock judging, creed speaking, and things like that.
Gotcha. So when there's a lot going on, she's kind of an extra person there to assist and to get things going for you guys. Right. Okay, very good. Well, Spencer, I want to take a moment just to acknowledge a couple of our sponsors, and obviously if you guys are raising commercial cattle, then you've got to use squeeze chutes and panels and runways and all that type of stuff to work your cattle, I'd assume, Spencer. Of course. Of course. Well, we've got a great sponsor for the Off-Farm Income Podcast, and that is Powder River Livestock Handling Equipment. They have been making just the finest livestock handling equipment for over 80 years now, starting out here in the West where the cattle, well, I will tell you, we've got cattle that only see human beings once or twice a year, either when they're put out onto the range or when they're brought back in, and they do not like to be close to people. And those are the cattle that Powder River designed their equipment for out here in the West. And if they can handle those cows, well, they can certainly handle the ones that you've got on your farm as well. So make sure you're letting your local farm and ranch retailer know you want to see Powder River livestock handling equipment in their yard. So you've got that opportunity. And you can reach out, see what they've got to offer you at powderriver.com. And then I want to acknowledge Lacrosse Footwear, everybody, our newest sponsor, but what a great sponsor. You know, everybody here on our farm wears the Alpha Range boots from Lacrosse every day in the mud, in the snow, out irrigating. It doesn't matter. We've always got our Lacrosse Alpha Range boots on, and we found these boots and fell in love with them really well before Lacrosse was ever a sponsor. And we would love it if you would check them out over at lacrossefootwear.com. Always love to mention Lacrosse doing my FFA episodes because they are proud to support the FFA by annually sponsoring 15 scholarships along with 100 jackets as part of the Give the Gift of Blue program. So check them out, please, over at lacrossefootwear.com and let them know that we sent you to them. All right, well, Spencer, let's talk about your supervised agricultural experience. So this led you to that national stage, being a national finalist. So obviously you've done something a little bit above and beyond tinkering. Can you tell us what that is?
Of course. My sophomore year, where my SC truly began, we have a ag shop, and we never had an ag mechanics class.
Okay.
And I brought up to my ag advisor, Mrs. Grantz, about starting a mechanics class. And after some thinking, she decided that, yeah, we could have a mechanics class. So we decided at a meeting to start this committee, and we decided to have it every Monday. And we named this committee Monday Motor Madness since it would be happening at the end of school every Monday.
Okay. So what happened after that decision was made?
Well, so I started gathering up members, and once I found 10 members who were interested, we looked to our community for a possible restoration project for the Iowa State Fair.
Okay.
And a local community member had a John Deere 316 that they were willing to donate to us for the cause to restore for the Iowa State Fair for the Monday Motor Madness group.
Okay. And so you must have, you guys must have accomplished that or completed that.
Yes. So through the year, I got to teach the kids on the restoration process through painting, sanding, and doing small maintenance to the motor. Mm-hmm. And at the 2018 Iowa State Fair, it received Reserve Grand Champion in the restored Garn tractor class.
Okay, interesting. So, and by the way, congratulations on that. What an accomplishment there. That's phenomenal what you and your group were able to do. But I want to break this down. So that was 2018. So right now it's 2020. Last spring was 2019. So this would have been your sophomore year when this happened. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so your sophomore year. So you petitioned or you brought up having this ag mechanics class during your sophomore year. Mrs. Grantz says yes to this, and then you essentially start teaching it. Is that right?
Yes.
Wow. So you obviously already had enough knowledge, at least enough knowledge to teach people who were just maybe a step or two behind you in this learning curve to be able to do this.
Correct. Yeah.
Very cool. Now, that was 2018. Has Monday Motor Madness done more projects since then?
Yes. So in 2019, we decided to do something unique and actually build a lawnmower pulling tractor. And that was a task in itself, doing something so different that not all of us really knew how to build a pulling tractor, but we actually got through pretty well. And once we finished restoring it, we took it to the Iowa State Fair again in the same class and actually received Grand Champion with that lawnmower.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, congratulations on that one as well. My goodness. So now I want to make sure that we're understanding what you said. Did you say lawnmower pulling tractor?
Yes.
Okay. Help me understand the distinction. What is a lawnmower pulling tractor? So
a lawnmower pulling tractor, there's different classes, just like large pulling tractors, but ours was what we called a hot class. Well, yeah, hot class. So every year at a county fair, we have a lawnmower pull, and the hot class is basically a little tuned up. It's not very tuned up, but it's tuned up enough to where it's producing more than its original amount of horsepower.
Okay.
And it's a very popular class within our fair.
Okay.
And the one rule is that even though it's more souped up, it still has to be able to mow grass. So
Okay.
we kept it to the point where we could still mow grass with it, but also pull with it.
All right, now I'm going to ask a very naive question, and my listeners are probably going to laugh at me. Are we talking about a riding lawnmower here?
Yes.
Okay. I was picturing, when you say a lawnmower pulling tractor, I was picturing a larger tractor that pulls like a mowing deck or something like that. But we're talking a riding lawnmower.
Yes, this is a riding lawnmower that pulls like a mini sled that you'd see, like a normal sled that would like a big tractor,
Yeah.
like one of those sleds, but miniature.
So it's just like doing a tractor pull, only you're doing it with a riding lawnmower that you've kind of souped up.
Yes.
Okay, very cool. Now, so how many horsepower did well, first of all, what kind of riding lawnmower was it? Was it like was it John Deere or something like that?
This was a Cub Cadet 127, and what really had us start building this into a pulling tractor was someone had started this project of the process of building it, but stopped midway and just let it sit outside. So that's what kind of motivated us to finish the process.
So it was a 127, so 127 cubic inches, is that right?
No, that's just the model number.
That's the model number. Okay, so how many horsepower was it?
So originally it produced about, around 18 horse.
Okay.
But after we got finished putting a performance carb on it and doing a little bit of tuning on the carburetor, it produced about 28 horsepower to 30-ish, which that doesn't seem like much, but for a lawnmower of that age and that size, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that gets the lawn trimmed pretty darn quick. That's interesting. How do you measure the horsepower? How did you know what you were able to reach?
Well, it's kind of a silly way of doing it, but with the way you do measure horsepower, if you don't have like a dyno or anything like that, is you have a sled and then you just go down the track basically, and then they just measure the horsepower that way. But the way we did it is that we kind of just went off a piece of paper, and so we tuned it to where the piece of paper said, so like you turn one of the little screws on the carburetor so much and give the lawnmower so much more horsepower.
Okay. All right. So you kind of figured that by turning the screw, you were able to understand the calibration and figure out what the horsepower was.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. So that was 2019. That was a year ago this spring. Is that right?
Yes.
So what's the project this year then?
This year we have kind of a unique project. I was able to get at an auction what is called a Cub Cadet Original, and Original is actually the model. It was the first Cub Cadet lawn tractor that was ever produced by International Harvester, and it is pretty bare bones, and actually it doesn't have a starter. That wasn't an option, but this one had the option for a starter. So along with the tractor, we found a snowplow and an International Harvester cart to go with it, just to give it a little better chance at the Iowa State Fair, since just a plain lawnmower wouldn't really show that it has a purpose, because part of being at the Iowa State Fair showing is that the lawnmower has to have a purpose. So the John Deere 316, its purpose was mowing. The Cub Cadet 127, the purpose was pulling. And this year, we chose the Cub Cadet Original to have the purpose of plowing snow.
Okay, very interesting. So, is the competition at the state fair, is it just based on judges looking at it and engaging how well it's been fixed up, how good it looks, or is there going to be some performance that you have to go through with the plowing lawnmower to be able to win this competition?
So So how we normally go about it is that you have to be present with your project to come and talk about it.
Okay.
And there they judge how you did your restoration. They have you start it up, move it a little bit, just to get the idea on how good a quality your restoration is. And along with the lawn tractor we restore, we always make a record book to show the judges on how we restored the lawnmower.
Okay. Interesting. Now I'm having a glimmer of a memory here, and again, I'm from out west of the Rockies, so you'll have to help me out here. But I know there is a county fair, or excuse me, a state fair in the Midwest, which is just phenomenal, and I think it's Iowa's. Is Iowa State Fair just a gargantuan, huge attraction for people?
Oh, it is massive. I think they said that we have the most food vendors out of all the state fairs, and it is just, it's amazing how big it is. And what's even more exciting is there's a tractor parade you get to drive in, and you get to drive the lawnmowers through, and you get to drive them all the way around the fairgrounds, and you really get to understand the size of it when you're driving a tiny little lawnmower.
Yeah, I guess you would. Well, somebody must have given you some inside information on me, since you led off with they've got the most food vendors of any fair. That's what would get me to Iowa for this fair right there. That is interesting. Well, what about livestock? And so, like, for example, at our county fair and even our state fair, I don't believe we have the ag mechanics competition that you're talking about, and that's kind of what made me think of this. So in terms of other competitions, like if a guy like me wanted to go to Iowa and attend your state fair, in terms of livestock shows and different agricultural competitions, I mean, if you had to guess, how many would you say there are?
Oh, goodness. Between all the projects, there is probably... Are you asking, like, people, how many people you'd say?
I'm just saying numbers of competitions.
Number of competitions? I'd say there's over 200 competitions.
Wow. Okay. Over how long of a period of time? Like how many days?
There's two weeks
2
of
weeks.
this fair.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. That could be my summer vacation destination. We'll see. We'll see. Interesting. Okay. So I want to ask you about this. So obviously, Monday Motor Madness is a team, right? You guys have been doing this as a team. But with that said, you're the one with the appearance on stage as a national proficiency finalist. So help me understand how that occurs. How did you get selected from the team as the person who was nominated to possibly win this national proficiency?
So the Monday Motor Madness, the class itself was my SAE.
Okay.
And the team wasn't Monday Motor Madness wasn't their SAE. My SAE was part of teaching the kids and just running the class and making the class, basically.
Got it. Okay. So this was you teaching others and putting all this together. So basically, you were kind of the facilitator and the instructor on all of this, and you were able to do a record book explaining all that.
Correct.
Very cool. Good for you. Well, that's great. And, you know, I've had the opportunity to do that one time in a class that was really hard. Me and another student, we put together study sessions, and we kind of taught everybody twice a week after class, and I've never learned better than when I was teaching. Did you find that kind of be the same thing for you doing this?
Yes. I'll be honest with you. Before I started teaching my class, I was a quiet kid, and Monday Motor Madness really helped me with my communication skills and really actually showing me different aspects of becoming a leader, along with mechanics as well. It has taught me some things that I probably couldn't learn on my own unless I was teaching them.
Yeah. Now, how much experience did the students you were teaching have? Did it range from no experience to a lot, or did everybody have some experience coming in?
Most kids do not have much experience when they come into Monday Motor Madness. Mm-hmm. So for the first few class periods at the beginning of the year, I would have to teach them just basic mechanical skills and safety skills like safety glasses, gloves, long pants, etc. So, and those kids that didn't know much about mechanics, you kind of had to keep an eye on them, especially when they took something apart and they'd say, where'd this bolt come from? And we have to go track down where it came from. So
yeah. Yeah, that sounds like every construction or mechanical project I've ever had is I get it all put back together and then I got a couple extra bolts. That's not great.
No. No, it is not.
Yeah, you would have thrown me right out of that class. You would have had to become a disciplinarian with me, Spencer. You'd have been like, "You're out."
Oh, I don't know about that. I've had some pretty interesting ones, but all of them were worth able to fix. And what the best way I've learned to keep bolts and things organized is we always keep them in baggies and always label them. Yeah. And when I first started mechanics, I didn't know this, and I thought if I just put all the bolts in a cup, and I thought I would remember this, and to this day, I have a motor sitting on my bench that is still torn in pieces because I have a coffee mug just full of nuts and bolts. I haven't figured out where everything goes.
Interesting. Okay. Well, so this begs the question. Here you are. You've just got a couple months left in your senior year of high school. And so what's next for you after all this?
When I'm done with high school, I do plan to go to college and go into ag business. I haven't quite decided where I'd like to go to college yet. I know around in my community there's a couple good ag colleges like Kirkwood and DMAC. There's a couple good ones out there, but I haven't yet decided.
Now, how have you decided on ag business? How did you choose that major? And it's, it's early. That could change. But for right now, how did you choose that?
I chose that, for one, I would like to continue my career through farming. Mm-hmm. And I would like to know, like, the financial end of farming and things like that because I know how to work in the field, but when it comes to the money end of the deal, I would like to learn a little more about that, and like the markets and business things like that. I really do enjoy learning about.
Mm-hmm. Interesting stuff. So your hope is when you're done with college, you want to come back to your family farm or continue to farm for other people like you're doing on that 16,000 acre farm? Well,
what I'd like to do is I would like to start a career in ag, but I would also like to I know especially where I live that it's tough to start farming when I'm young.
Yeah.
So I know that I would like a career in the ag field and then work my way up to hopefully starting my own farming operation.
Got it. And will you continue working on old pieces of equipment and doing creative things like you've been doing with Monday Motor Madness?
Yes. The main reason why I decided not to pursue ag mechanics as a career because mechanics to me is just a fun hobby to do. I mean, I love doing it. Whenever I'm stressed out at school, I always just go into the garage and work on some. So I do plan on continuing my hobby through mechanics and keep working on equipment.
Very cool. Well, I would love to get your advice for other students out there. And let's do this. If a student wants to go into a mechanics class, they're in FFA, they have no experience, but they're interested in learning how to turn a wrench, they're interested in learning how to work on engines and do things like that you do, what advice would you have for them on what to be ready for on that very first day of class?
What I'd be ready for is to be organized, always have an open mind when it comes to things, always think of different ideas, because just sometimes doing things by the manual isn't fun, and if you can come up with something creative and new that would really wow the crowd, that's great. I mean, make something your own. I mean, I know lawnmowers aren't that exciting, but even doing lawnmowers and trying to customize one in your own way, I mean, that's just the best thing. It shows that you can be creative and shows that you're able to adapt to different things.
Awesome. Great advice. Well, Spencer, this has been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed hearing about it, and maybe I'll see you at the Iowa State Fair this year. When is the fair usually? Is it? I know Iowa can get hot and muggy, so is it like August or July? When do they have it?
It's usually towards the end of August.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, it might not be as bad towards the end of August, but I don't know. So it's held where? Which part of Iowa?
Des Moines, Iowa.
In Des Moines, okay. And your event, or Monday Motor Madness's event, is that in the first part of the fair, the first week, second week? When is it usually?
This is usually the first part of the week. On the Friday is when the judging is.
The Friday. And is the fair fully open on that Friday, or do they have events prior to the fair being fully open to the public?
No, when the judging begins for the small engines class, the restored garden tractor, the fair is completely open.
Very cool. All right, well, maybe I'll see you there. I could shake your
I
hand,
hope so.
and maybe you might even let me drive your snowplow.
Okay.
All right, Spencer. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for joining us today, everybody. It has been great to be here with you. Really enjoyed interviewing Spencer. And as always, enjoy your journey to the ultimate lifestyle business, agriculture.